Good evening, Council Parsons. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address you and the public in connection with a matter that we thought was finished in October, because in October we appeared before a federal judge in connection with a scurrilous lawsuit that was brought by Michael Melham against Mr. Esposito and the township, that ended up costing the township in excess of $100,000 to defend. We are still currently in court trying to recover that money because we believe that the lawsuit that was filed was politically motivated, was frivolous, and had no basis in fact or in law. Consequently, when we appeared in October before the federal judge gave the opportunity for Melham and his attorney to withdraw the matter with prejudice, which is a nice way of saying a bullet in the head, it's over. He agreed to do that. We clearly articulated at that point that we, in order to avoid continuing to seek attorney's fees from him, reimbursing the township for the cost, we would come back to council and ask them if they were willing to forego it. A presentation was made in November, and the council felt that in order to protect the taxpayers of Belleville, they wanted to continue to try and attempt to recover the money that was spent in defense of this frivolous action that was peddled for about a year and a half, 2 years, and eventually, recognizing that it had no merit, the plaintiff decided that it was time to withdraw it voluntarily with prejudice. A document was signed, it was forwarded to the court held it based upon my advice to the court, whether you, as the council, wanted to abandon pursuit of the money. And to your credit, you advised me that after you carefully considered it, that you didn't want to do that because you felt obligated to at least attempt to recover that money that was spent in connection with defending that frivolous action. Well, apparently, Mr. Melham had a change of mind and a change of attorneys, because approximately a month ago, he is attempting to revive that frivolous lawsuit based upon papers that have been filed that I'm holding in front of me, claiming that somehow, some way, Belleville and Mr. Esposito and I guess myself fooled him or tricked him into dismissing the action with prejudice. That hardly was the case. We were in front of a federal judge who clearly articulated everybody's position. Based upon that, he made a voluntary decision to his lawyer to walk away from the case and finally kill it. As I said, about a month ago, we got served with a pile of papers, new law firm, claiming that he was tricked, deceived into dismissing the action with prejudice. To make matters even more distasteful, I guess is the word, he's attempting to reopen it and then assert a claim based upon racketeering. I think it's an outrageous attempt to inject what I consider to be an ethnic slur towards Mr. Esposito, and anybody for that matter who has a vow at the end of the day. It has no foundation in the law or facts, and I think it's a disgrace, and we are vigorously attempting to prevent this from being reopened based upon his decision through his lawyer to dismiss the action with prejudice. So all the papers have been filed and put in front of the same federal judge to make a determination that we think is obvious, and that is this was dead as a doornail back in October, and it should not be revived, and it's just simply a disgraceful attempt to really slur people who did the right thing by the taxpayers of Belleville by defending this frivolous action and seeking to recover the money that was spent in defending the action. So that's where we're at today. I'd be happy to entertain any questions that you may have.
Just, at no time did the town agree that we weren't gonna pursue, going after him for the reimbursement for the lawsuit, correct?
There's no question about that.
Because I remember the council took a vote that we were gonna pursue the refund on our
It was
lawsuit.
actually a resolution.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You know, and in fact, I've been in touch with Mr. Pyro, who's counsel to the GIF that covers you, and I've sent him all the papers, and I've been in touch with him, and, you know, so everybody's aware that that was the pursuit, never to be abandoned, unless you decided to do so. I mean, you know, when I was in court, I made it very clear, a lawyer doesn't have that prerogative to make that kind of decision. It's the client's decision, so it's your decision, no matter what I think. And, you know, you made your decision, and I communicated it to the court as I was obligated to do.
You guys got any questions?
Yeah, I got a question. When he applied to the planning board to do that monstrosity next door, he put down that he had 2 parking spaces behind the building, which you have to cross town property to get to. I don't understand why Harrods and the code enforcement didn't say, you know, this isn't right. You don't have no parking there. So the planning board went ahead and heard it, you know, and approved it with spots for parking that he didn't even have.
Well, I don't know what that's his.
That pretty much is my understanding. The planning board record is, let's put it this way, it's a little bit vague.
Well, I read it, it doesn't seem too vague to me, especially like when he said that he lives in Lyndhurst, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, we won't let this guy from Nutley, Commissioner Evans, owns a house on Cortlandt Street. And for years, he said that the town allowed him to park behind the house and all that. So when he took back the house, he fixed it all up, or whatever he did to it, he wanted the 2 spots that he originally said were his spots. Well, they weren't his spots, they were town property. Because somebody let you park there, doesn't give you the property. Same thing went over here. You know, the guy who owned it before him, that owned the restaurant, never parked behind the building. You know, so it should have been heard to begin with, is what I believe. You know? Now he's coming around again to milk us dry some more.
So when do you think we'll hear back on this?
I mean, it is scheduled for April 16th, but based upon my experience with the court system, when they feel like it.
This is what I don't understand. The judge heard the case.
Yes.
She decided the case.
Well,
but
she did.
She never signed the order.
She never decided it because what she did was, quite frankly, she cut the guy a break. I mean, I don't want to go into detail because it would be inappropriate for me to publicly state what the judge said or didn't say. But let's just say he was given the opportunity to gracefully exit and not suffer a different outcome. Let me put it to you that way. So it was made pretty clear that his options were quite limited based upon the merits or lack of merits of what was before the judge.
And Mayor, if I can point out, having the township, because this was not a covered event, you know, we've eventually made some arrangement with our insurance carrier with regard to the claims set forth in the complaint. But I think the governing body would have been not fulfilling its trust if it walked away from $100,000 without litigating.
Well, I believe the whole council felt that way. That's why we all voted for that resolution to waive those funds. But in the meantime, we are tied up, leaving that building the way it is. I'm going to say 3 or 4 years. And I don't know why it can't be fixed. I mean, as a youngster, why can't they put up pole scaffolding and repair that building?
Well, in fact, Mayor, I think there's been a couple of instances where they've taken a couple of spaces on Washington Avenue and had trucks there and brought equipment or girders in through the front. Much the same as any other business. There's not a lot of businesses on Washington Avenue that have parking in the back or driveways. Almost every single one of them, if they were going to make some structural changes to their businesses, would have to block off a couple of spaces in front of the building, park a car there, and I believe have the police there for safety purposes. I know the state police have been there once or twice to make sure there wasn't a traffic problem. Am I correct, Kevin?
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
I saw them there myself, that's what I'm saying.
I saw them there myself on occasion also.
Anybody else have any? Mr. Frino, we want to defend this case vigorously, and I don't like the idea of him calling Mr. Esposito racketeer, and it's ridiculous. So, it's too bad that he can't wait for him to get a lawsuit. But I understand this public officials were limited, so, yes.
Any other questions?
I really can't let the public talk, I'm sorry.
The joint public.
You got the- Kev, you have anything to add? I know you were defendant in this case, but
That's the problem, Mayor. I have a lot to add, but being a defendant puts me in a difficult spot.
Understood.
okay.
Basically, Mr. Frino did an excellent job.
Mr. Frino talks for it.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman.
George, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you.